Is it the same notes as the ones you sent earlier? YouTube just transcode it live? Isn't it delayed? Oh, it went down. Oh, nothing. Yeah. If it's updated now.
Hello everybody, welcome. Let me see, that's fully aligned now. That's good. So let's get started in a minute, guys. Hey guys, of course, welcome to the Sandro Linux Community Podcast. So today is the 16th of February 2024. So let's get started in a minute, guys. So I'll hit record in a minute and then we will fully get started. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the Sandro Linux Community Podcast. It is the 16th of February 2024. So today we've got a number of stories. So the headline today is OpenAI is introducing Sora to generate video from text prompts. So this is a pretty big story on the OpenAI front because they're of course launching this new model, which will be pretty big news for OpenAI because of course text to video is a bit different from text to image generation, so it's a bit more advanced, and yeah, it'll be cool to see it be released, I suppose. So there's a bit of a demo here that's showed by OpenAI. So this is their kind of sample demo. And yeah, it looks pretty interesting what you could do with this. So they're already giving a few examples on X about what you could do with this this text to video generation. So that's pretty cool. And overall, I think this is a pretty interesting thing to come from OpenAI. So, of course, this is quite logical when it comes to the progression of things that they release a text-to-video model. And now, of course, you can now use this with OpenAI. Do you have any thoughts, Pigus?
Have you seen the Google's version of this they released like 2 weeks ago or
Is it
something?
on, like, Gemini or something? I don't know. No.
No. Yeah, but they recently released a similar thing,
Let me see. Let me
which
see.
I just had a
Mm-hmm.
link to it open and I closed it.
Oh.
See?
Is it called Imogen? Okay, Imogen.
No, it's something else.
Okay. Anyway,
Uh,
getting back to the other stories here. Unless you want to comment more upon this.
it's called Lemire.
Lemire. Not heard of it yet.
No.
Okay. So that's cool, I guess. Anyway, do you want to move on to the next story, Pigus, or do you want to comment any more upon the headline
We
story
can
here?
move now. And continue now.
Cool. So why don't we head on to another AI story here? So this is quite an unclear story here. Slack has begun rolling out Slack AI, except we're not really sure what's going on with it. And apparently they won't even commit to delivering the features that are promised in it. So this is interesting because, of course, integrating AI into a chat app is quite a logical thing to do. Other chat apps are trying to integrate different aspects of AI, but Slack is apparently not really sure whether they'll be able to implement all the features that they're promising right now. But it'll be cool to see if they can implement some sort of chat GPT style stuff into their platform. But I wouldn't hold my breath about when this will actually be released, given the current unclear nature of whether they will actually roll out all these features. What do you think, Piggis? Have you heard about this Slack story before?
No.
Yeah, well, do you use Slack at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know any. Yeah, Slack is not that common outside of certain workplaces would use Slack, but Teams is way more
I
popular these
think
days.
it was used to be more popular.
Yeah, maybe they fell off a bit with
Mm.
market share. But yeah, it'll be cool to see whether these AI developments could change the kind of landscape when it comes to different applications. Because of course some people might use certain chat apps for their AI abilities, and whether that could change the landscape of kind of different apps and what kind of market share they have. Because if there's a certain app which has AI integrated, will that actually, be a positive for their kind of market dominance, or will it not actually really matter? I would probably go for the latter. I probably think the latter would happen. I'm not really sure whether AI will actually be such a kind of killer feature for certain apps. And of course, there are just applications where AI is not really applicable. However, it is cool to see what app developers can do with this. Do you have any
Mm.
thoughts, Biggest?
I mean, every company tries to integrate AI now, pretty much.
Yeah.
So there, I don't know about like Slack alternatives, but I'm pretty sure like they would also
Teams.
be doing similar things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, with Skype, which is sort of a Slack alternative, they've been doing stuff with AI for quite a bit.
Mhm.
And Microsoft generally is trying to integrate AI into their different products, so I can't see Teams being too far behind there. With them being in the kind of Microsoft product strategy, I suppose. And quite
Mhm.
important to the Microsoft business because it's quite a popular app in workplaces. But yeah, I think they're quite conservative with Teams because it's the workspace app. There's a lot of important users of it, and they don't really want to annoy them with unnecessary features. So perhaps they could be a bit more conservative with implementing AI and kind of buzzword features, I suppose. Because, yeah,
Mhm.
of course, a few years ago, not a few years ago, like only like a year or two back, everybody was trying to implement like blockchain into like their
Mhm.
apps and stuff. So it comes in waves, and I suppose, AI is the current thing. Who knows what will be next? What acronym will be next? We'll just have to wait and see. What was the guess? What was the guess on the previous community podcast? What was the do you remember the acronym that people were trying to guess what acronym would be the next popular thing after
What?
NFTs? What was the guess again? Do you remember this
No,
conversation? I
I
think
don't.
I think was it John who guessed it was gonna be uh like something else. Anyway, I don't remember anymore. I'll probably look back at the old live community podcast episodes just to see what was said back then. Just because I'm curious, you know. But anyway, getting back on track here, guys. So why don't we take a look at another story here? Here's one I included as one of the last notes. In fact, I'm not sure if I put it in the notes that I sent you, Pigus. So here you go.
Oh.
Anyway, I've sent you it on the Discord chat. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So it's one aspect that I wanted to focus on here. So we've already covered the first half of this article, but they are also, as well as working on this text to video model, they are also apparently pondering making a more direct competitor to Google. So this could be really big news if, of course, OpenAI try and become more of a competitor to Google, because Google, of course, totally dominate the search space, and there's not really that many alternatives that people seriously kind of suggest, seriously contemplate using. And of course, Bing was once something that people might have thought, should I use Bing? And then thought, no. So Bing is not particularly popular. It is more popular than some of the search alternatives, but it is still nowhere near the dominance of Google. So maybe OpenAI could change that if they decide to become more of a rival to Google. It would be an interesting thing how they actually try and go about that. How they would actually integrate ChatGPT into some sort of search engine. And yeah, I'm not really sure what will happen here. But do you have any ideas, Pigus? Do you have any ideas?
I have a feeling it's going to be even more censored.
Yeah, maybe. You know,
And then also like searches change. Like new things appear and old stuff gets taken down.
yeah, maybe. That would
And the
be a
problem would be then how much of the stuff it will give you is not relevant anymore because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, maybe this could, if it only gives you the kind of newest stuff, that could be really bad for being able to look back at previous things, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe who knows what will actually happen with this, to be honest, because it's only really rumors right now, speculation. But of course, it would make some sense if OpenAI try and compete with Google, because Google are clearly trying to compete with OpenAI, and of course, the search space is very, very. It's kind of quite a profitable market when it comes to ads, I suppose. I don't know. Do you think OpenAI could somehow integrate ads into their search engine? What do
I
you think?
mean, sure.
Yeah, maybe. So far, ChatGPT doesn't have any ads, does it? Or OpenAI's other products?
No.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. So we'll have to see there. Of course, companies that didn't previously have adverts in their products, sometimes they put it in for search. But of course, the majority of Google competitors don't really go anywhere with their product. But OpenAI could be a bit of a different story, given their popularity with ChatGPT. Now, do you want to move on to the mobile news, or do you want to comment on anything else, Pigus?
I was thinking thinking about other search engines and wonder like how well is Brave search doing now?
I'm not sure. I heard about that a while back, and I kind of then just I didn't really pay much attention after a bit. I was one of the people who got early access to Brave Search, and that was pretty cool. But now they have, is it popular? I don't think it's particularly popular. I mean, Brave users, not all of them use it. And apart from Brave users, I'm not really sure how many users Brave Search actually has. And there's not that many Brave users to start with compared to, for example, Chrome. So if it's only a subset of Brave users using Brave Search, I don't imagine it being too popular. But yeah, when I was commenting on some companies implement ads when it comes to search, I was thinking a bit of Brave, a bit about Brave there, because I think they did implement some adverts on Brave Search. But yeah. Anyway.
They aren't even in the statistics here
Oh.
that I found.
Yeah. Maybe they're not exactly, number one search engine for market share. Because yeah, that's definitely Google. But of course, it's popular in most markets. Of course, there are some kind of exceptional markets, such as, for example, Russia and China, where, Yandex is more popular in Russia. In China, Baidu is more popular, and so is some of the other search engines. And in China, Google's totally blocked, so they can't really gain popularity in that market, at least not legally. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this OpenAI story, and whether they do actually go ahead with making a Google competitor. Now, moving on here to the mobile news. So, Apple is apparently negotiating with OLED suppliers for the next iPhone SE 4. The iPhone SE was quite a popular device. Of course, it probably doesn't have the highest profit margin for Apple because it's one of the lower end devices. However, it is extremely popular with some lighter users of iPhones, and some people who just want slightly smaller phones, or want to spend slightly less money on their phone, could go to the iPhone SE to get a decent kind of phone for their money. And of course, there was the iPhone SE, the previous models. However, they didn't release an iPhone SE 3 when when people expected them to. Was it the 3, or did they release an iPhone SE 3? I don't remember it.
No idea.
Let me see. Was it released? Oh yeah, they did back in 2022. Okay, yeah. But anyway, they didn't release an SE4 back in 2023, and some people weren't exactly sure whether the SE line would continue on. However, it does appear that they will actually be going ahead with an SE4 here. So that's pretty cool if you're a fan of the SE line. However, we'll have to wait and see whether they keep the bezel, whether they go ahead with this notch design as it is shown on this article. Mac Rumors is not always the most reliable when it comes to predicting, screen design. But there's always a possibility that they could go for a slightly more modern design here. So yeah. And of course, Min-Chi Kuo is also apparently saying that they will be going with a more similar design to the iPhone 14 on the SE4. And of course, Min-Chi Kuo is quite a kind of reliable leaker. They have, leaked a lot of stuff in the past, and a lot of the kind of rumors that a lot of the leaks that they've put out have actually been true. So this is pretty reliable analysis, I suppose. But there's always a possibility that it might not be the case. Who knows? But yeah, what do you think, Pierce? You're not a big iPhone fan, I know, but you know, there are the iPhone, people who love iPhones, and this is the more budget model. So I suppose it's nice for them,
Mm-hmm. What is like the price range for this?
I think it'll be about 300, 400, 500. That's a ballpark I'll put it in. I mean, what's the iPhone SE 3 currently selling for? Let me see. Okay, so currently it costs about $429 for the base model. So yeah, that's a relatively mid-range phone, So if they're going with a similar price this time, then we could expect something like that. I'm not really sure whether it was an LCD display. I think it was for this previous model. And they're apparently going with OLED this time. Or at least they're negotiating with OLED suppliers. So it could be pretty cool to see an OLED display on this iPhone SE.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on to the next story here. Not great news for the European users out here. Out there, I mean, out here. What? But out there. So if you're in the EEA, apparently there's no longer home screen web apps. So they're apparently not really complying with the DMA here, the Digital Markets Act, because hang on, how does so apparently the act, apparently the code to help them implement the help implement code to comply with the act is actually the thing breaking the PWAs. That is ironic. So apparently EU users will still be able to open home screen web apps, but within their browser window rather than a standalone app. So this will be pretty annoying for PWA users. So people who use web apps on iPhone if you live in the EU. Now, of course, if you live in Britain, we're no longer in the EU, so I suppose you don't have this issue. But yeah, if you're in an EEA country, then I suppose you'll have to deal with this, at least for the time being. Have you got any thoughts? This is pretty buggy code,
If feel like Apple isn't checking their code before they launch it.
No, this is a pretty niche feature, to be honest. Perhaps they don't check this over before they actually, launch the feature. Before they launch the update, I mean. And of course, they might be in somewhat of a rush to try and put out code to show they'll comply with the act. Anyway, moving on to the next story. So, TikTok is apparently now coming to the Vision Pro. So, if we thought you could escape TikTok by using a Vision Pro, you thought you were in another world. Well, you still got TikTok. TikTok consuming your headset, I suppose. But yeah, so of course, it makes sense that TikTok would come out with an app for the Vision Pro. And yeah, now they've actually brought this app. It looks quite well kind of designed for the Vision Pro. It looks like they've put some effort into creating it. And of course, TikTok is a very cross-platform application, so no matter what platform you're on, you can not escape. Jackie, no, you can use TikTok on any platform you want to, pretty much these days, unless you use a Windows phone. Unless you use like you know, Linux mobile devices, then maybe you can't. But yeah, most platforms have TikTok support, and now they're actually rolling it out to the Vision Pro. So this will be cool for people who like TikTok. I know some people don't like TikTok. I'm not gonna comment. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Piggis, on do you think they'll ever come out with a TikTok app for Linux mobile OSs?
I doubt that.
Maybe one day, if the year of the Linux mobile, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe then.
Yes, maybe then in 2027.
Hmm.
Perhaps. But in a more serious note, although now if I say it in a more serious note, what happens if it turns out that's actually true and in 2027 everybody starts using Linux phones? Then I would look like I just totally misjudge things. But anyway, but let's move on now to the next story. One Android story this week. Do you think I could be caught out here, Piggis? Do you think 2027 could be the year of the Linux mobile?
It could.
Who knows? Who knows? Um,
Just like 2024 can be the year of the Linux desktop.
yeah, I just feel like it's a more conservative projection. Yeah. Mhm. Uh, yeah, but let's move on to the next story here. So and actually we're covering a Linux mobile story later. We're covering something to do with UB ports. So you can look forward to that, I suppose. Anyway, so moving on to an Android story here. So Google Messages could soon let you edit sent messages on Google Messages. Did I just say Google Messages so many times? I don't know. But yes,
Hmm.
so so RCS is pretty popular these days with Android users. It's really meant to be the replacement for SMS. And one thing you can never do with SMS text messages is actually edit them after the fact. And yeah, apparently that's now going to be a thing with RCS. However, the recipient will still be able to see the original unedited text. So if you wrote something stupid and then you wanted to edit it, not to offend somebody or not to, you know, let's say, yeah, you just want to quickly fix something, then they will still be able to see the original. So perhaps it won't save you this time. Good luck. Good luck next time. But but yeah, what do you think about this, Piggis?
No. Would you be able to delete the message
Probably not.
altogether?
Probably not. I mean,
Mm,
what day was this news announced? Um,
mm,
12 hours ago.
today?
Okay, today, yeah. So it would have been funny if they'd done this on Valentine's Day. Like you can now edit messages. So if you said something stupid, then you can just edit it out. No. But yeah. So it won't be able to save you in certain departments, but I suppose if you just want to edit something just to maybe fix a spelling mistake or something like that, the recipient will still be able to see that you did make a mistake. However, you will get the edited message. Of course, you could just put an asterisk, and just say what your correction is, and maybe that could be a solution. You could do that back with SMS, but I suppose this is a better solution.
Mhm.
Anyway, why? Oh yeah, that's the AI story. What am I doing? But yeah, let's get into the gaming news now, guys. So there's one big gaming story I thought about mentioning today. So if you're on Game Pass, this is pretty good news. Excuse me. So if you're on Game Pass and you're either on PC or Xbox, you can now get Diablo 4. So this is a pretty cool thing for Diablo fans and people who want to check out the franchise. Because now you can actually use it. You can now actually play this game on Game Pass. Personally, I've not played Diablo before, but I know it's quite a popular game and quite a popular franchise. Have you played it at all before, Piggis?
No, never.
No, but apparently it will now be coming to Game Pass here, so that's good news for Game Pass fans.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on now to the broadband and cellular news. So here's some global stuff, guys. So here's a pretty bad story for people living in Senegal. If you're in Senegal right now and you're watching this on your phone using your mobile connection, how are you doing it? Because they have suspended internet access, and they've ordered a suspension of internet access between the 25th and the so apparently you can watch it right now. So to all my Senegalese viewers, I'm sure there's some out there. But but yeah, so you can still watch me until the 25th of February, and then your internet will get cut out. But yeah, so this is pretty bad news, of course, for people in Senegal. So of course this is not a good thing. So it's apparently something that the president has decided to do because because of apparently electoral disputes and security reasons. However, some people aren't buying these reasons, and this isn't good news for internet freedom or the ability of people in Senegal to access the internet. Any thoughts, Figures? Pretty bad news, you know?
Corruption.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yes, I think that's the sum of it, you know? Corruption. Anyway, moving on to a more, exciting story here, guys. So, Blue Sky and Ericsson have partnered together. So, Blue Sky is an American operator, and so in American Samoa, they're an operator, a mobile operator. So, don't get them confused with the social network, Blue Sky. Two different things, guys. But yeah, so Blue Sky have partnered up with Ericsson, the 5G equipment provider, to actually enable 5G in American Samoa. So if you're with Blue Sky, you can now enjoy 5G in American Samoa. So that's pretty cool. Any thoughts, Pierce?
5G, yay.
Yeah. I think American Samoa would actually be a pretty interesting place to visit, to be honest. But yeah, it's cool to see them bringing 5G online for their residents.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on to the Linux news here. So UBports is switching to a fixed release model for Ubuntu Touch OTA updates. So apparently, so previously they had, was it a rolling model? Is that how they were previously doing it? I don't know.
No idea. Didn't follow up on that.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're going for a fixed release model now, for more stability on Ubuntu Touch. And of course, generally, Linux phones aren't always the most stable, phone OSs. So it's cool to see them take a step towards more stability. And overall, I find the Ubuntu Touch project is pretty cool. So it's nice to see them try and make an improvement here. Yeah, and just more stability is generally good, unless you want to be on the bleeding edge. Anyway, have you got any thoughts, Piggis? No thoughts. Okay, so moving along here. So IP Fire is apparently now, with this latest update, now it's apparently powered by the Linux kernel 6.6 LTS. So that's pretty cool if you use this firewall distro. So, of course, firewall distros are pretty conservative with their Linux kernel updates and updates in general because they go for high security over features and, being on the bleeding edge. So, of course, them updating to this LTS means that we're unlikely to see that many updates in the kernel for this IP Fire distro in the near future. So you might be stuck on 6.6 for a while. Do you have any thoughts, Piggis?
No,
Cool.
I don't think it's like much to say.
No, I mean it's cool for users of IP Fire that they get this new this new kernel. So if they now have their hardware supported, that's pretty cool. And of course, the newer kernel, will just have better hardware support. Anyway, now let's move on to everybody's favorite OS. If you're not Piggis, sorry Piggis, Windows. In fact, no, it's not anybody's favorite OS. But yeah, most people put up with using Windows, to be honest. But yeah, so Windows. So Phil Spencer has acknowledged the shortcomings of Windows on handhelds. I just said handhelds in a weird way. Handhelds. No, handhelds. So apparently he is now promising to improve the experience. So he's not really in the Windows department, but apparently Microsoft is beginning to test a compact mode. So perhaps he is saying this just to hope that gamers will stick around with these compact devices and and buy something running the Windows operating system. And yeah, this is good news for gamers on handhelds that they might be getting more support when it comes to Windows. Do you have any thoughts,
It's
Piggis?
funny, did they just nuke all the mobile-friendly UI when they moved to Windows 11?
Yep, they did. So for all those tablet users, they now have to use this clunky interface that's designed for desktops, the original Windows interface.
And now
And
they're going back to making it more friendly.
yep, I suppose they are. At least for the handheld users, yeah. So who knows whether that will be good for the tablets out there, but let's hope so. Anyway, moving on to some pretty negative stories here, guys, so sorry about that one. But India is apparently maybe blocking Proton Mail after it was used to send bomb threats to a school in a southern Indian state and apparently the spokesperson for Proton told an Indian daily newspaper, the Hindustan Times, that the firm condemns the potential block as a misguided measure that only serves to harm ordinary people. So of course, it's always bad when people use these services for wrong, and they try and do bad stuff with, different services. However, I don't think it's appropriate to try and block Proton Mail. I think it maybe is a bit reactionary, but yeah, I suppose we'll just have to see what the Indian government end up doing here. Do you have any thoughts, Piers?
I mean, it feels wrong to like accuse Proton Mail for this, because any mail service could have like been involved in this.
Yeah, they do have pretty minimal kind of sign up stuff, but yeah, to be fair, any email service could really be involved with this. So yeah, maybe as I said, I think it's a bit reactionary. I think it's a bit, this happened and therefore we just need to block the service that allowed this to happen, even though it's just an email provider. But yeah, this is pretty bad news for Indian Proton Mail users. Moving on to the last story for today, guys. So New York City is suing TikTok and Instagram for addicting children. So apparently they're saying that they, that alleging harmful design features. And I don't know what law they're trying to do this based on. Perhaps they're saying it's a public health hazard or something. I'm not sure how this will stand up in court if they're trying to sue them for this, but some people, do say that TikTok and Instagram, they do have these addictive features that could be addicting to children, and that they do need to take some action on it. Now, of course, there are people who push back against that, but New York City is clearly trying to take quite a bold line on this, and we'll have to see how that stands up in court. Do you have any thoughts, Pigus?
Like, haven't people tried to do this before and nothing really happens?
Yeah, usually nothing really happens with this, but we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. We'll just have to wait and see.
Just maybe they can force them to stop.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe
it'll
they
make them
will.
a little less addictive.
Yeah, maybe they'll be able to make them, make it a bit less addictive, but based on some of the legislation they've been trying to pass through the Senate and Congress, it's not really like the latest act. I forget what's the name of it. It's listed a bit of a kind of negative reaction from people online, because it's basically, there's now got to be some sort of ID method for online platforms to show that you're, over a certain age. I'm not sure though. I'd have to look that one up. But yeah, so some people might say that this might be pushing in the wrong direction. However, if they could just limit the addictive features in general, and maybe that would be good, Anyway, so perhaps we should be focusing more on just stopping these addictive features in general instead of focusing primarily on, children. But those are just my personal thoughts, guys. You can have your own in the comments and in the chat, of course. So we'll just have to, we'll see what people say about it if people do want to comment. Anyway, guys, thank you once again for watching. Thank you, Pigus, for being the co-host today. And yeah, if you enjoyed today's stream, you can like, subscribe, and share. So, share it with people who might enjoy it. And you can go to sandrolinux.com/discord if you want to join the Discord to chat with us on the live. or talk in the text chat. And yeah, overall, thank you guys for watching once again, and goodbye. You want to say goodbye, Picketh?
Bye.